Rich man sees Maid's paralyzed daughter dancing. What happens next will haunt you forever. The night was electric, a chaotic mix of laughter, chatter, and the clang of crystal glasses in the luxurious ballroom. But in the dim corners, something eerily magnetic was stirring. The air thickened. A man's eyes widened, disbelief ripping through him as he caught sight of a figure gliding across the floor. It was a girl, her face radiant against all odds, despite the heavy chill of her chair, a chair that bound her body as chains might imprison a beast. Yet there she was, dancing, as if the music itself was her lifeblood, a spirit unbroken by steel and circumstance. The crowd gasped. Whispers turned into murmurs, a wildfire spread. How is this possible? Now he couldn't look away. The rich man felt a nameless fear grip his heart, a lurking dread that something supernatural had touched this mundane gathering. Could a paralyzed girl really dance? Her limbs moved with graceful defiance, though bound to a wheelchair, every twirl and twist painted with the vibrant brush of life itself. Each flick of her wrist sent a ripple of awe through the observers. They stood frozen, eyes glued to her every movement, hands clenching their wine glasses like talismans. As she spun, the air shifted, their mundane chatter faded into stunned silence. The music elevated, banishing all lingering doubts. How could a body held prisoner by sickness express such raw beauty? It was as if she dared fate itself with every lift, teasing the boundaries of reality. Then an old man in the corner, his eyes narrowed, murmured, "It's witchcraft." A ripple of anxiety raced through the crowd, echoes of skepticism slicing through the enchantment of the moment. Would they dare confront this anomaly? The rich man's heart raced, questions flooded his mind. Was he witnessing a miracle, or had he stumbled into something darker? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As she danced, the unsettling sensation crept back. The rich man took a step closer, drawn to her like a moth to a flame. What was the secret behind her seemingly impossible movements? What drove her to defy the very chains that bound her? The mystery thickened, and he felt an inexplicable need to uncover the truth lurking beneath this extraordinary spectacle. His pulse quickened. The night was only just beginning, and the shadows were shifting. What lay hidden in the depths of her enchanting performance? What would she reveal next? With every beat of the music, the girl's dance intensified, spiraling into a whirlwind that captivated all. The rich man remained transfixed, destroying every ounce of doubt in his mind while forging a connection to the girl that felt bizarre yet inexplicably real. What was driving her? But just as he was beginning to embrace the mesmerizing performance, a piercing shriek shattered the atmosphere. Stop! It was the girl's mother barging through the crowd, panic etched across her face. The room fell silent, as if time itself held its breath. Eyes darted to her, confusion mingling with concern. What are you doing? Get back! She shouted, her voice trembling. The elegant dress she wore swayed with her frantic movements, adding an air of urgency. She rushed forward, eyes locked onto her daughter with terror and adoration. You must not, you cannot do this. The rich man felt the air thicken around them. The energy that had once been buoyantly electric now crackled with tension. Was this dance a gift, a curse, or a taboo? The girl's radiant face dimmed slightly, confusion dawning upon her as she glanced back at her mother, the music fading into an echo of impending danger. Mom, I can dance. She called out, her body still vibrating with the rhythm, yet questions hung heavy in the air. Why can't you let me be free? No, sweet girl. You must listen. Her mother's urgency twisted the room's energy into a whirlwind of desperation. They'll see you, they'll know. You mustn't let them. Murmurs surged through the crowd again, like a rising tide preparing for a storm. Whispers of witchcraft bounced from ear to ear, and the rich man could feel eyes boring into him, their judgment heavy and unyielding. Curiosity morphed into scrutiny, murmurs turning to accusations. What kind of trickery is this? Someone spat from the back, their voice dripping venom. He stepped forward, regardless of the danger swirling around him. Please, let her dance. His voice rang out, surprising even himself. A strange urge gripped his heart, pushing him to defend the girl he barely knew. It's beautiful. But the mother shook her head fiercely. No. You don't understand. This is not how it's meant to be. Her voice cracked, vulnerability ripping through the horror. Desperation emanated from her, wrapping around him, squeezing his resolve. In an instant, the girl's movement stiffened, the defiance fading as her mother's fear washed over her. Shaking hands found the wheels of her chair, gripping tightly, as if all the animation had drained away. I am sorry, she whispered, tilting her head down, the light now eclipsed by dark cloud of looming uncertainty. The rich man's heart raced. Had he just witnessed magic, or had it been an illusion, a fleeting moment turning into a trap? And what did it mean? He saw the truth in her averted gaze, the weight of lost potential, a spirit captured behind flesh and bone. And yet, he couldn't shake the specter of doubt creeping into his mind. What secrets lay beneath this facade? As the crowd's attention shifted back to the confrontation, something shifted within him. He needed to know what had triggered this moment. Would he dare to probe deeper, to unearth the truth buried beneath layers of fear and sorrow? As the shadows wrapped around the dancing girl, a sense of ominous dread loomed. What revelation would the rich man uncover next? What dangers or wonders awaited him just beyond the veil of reality? The moment hung in the air, thick and heavy. The rich man felt an invisible tether pull him closer to the girl, now diminished in spirit. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a dance, it was a plea for freedom, a yearning that echoed deep within him. Who are you? He blurted out, the question tearing through the tension like a storm. The mother shot him a searing look, as though he had set fire to her fears. Stay out of this. She barked, pulling her daughter back. There was a fracture in her voice, a note of desperation that sliced through the crowd. You don't know anything about us. But he did know something, he felt it in his bones. The relentless beat of the music still pulsed in his ears, the girl's movement a striking contrast to the now deadly silence. Why was she trapped? What cage held her? Mom, please, the girl murmured, her voice barely a whisper, but the weight carried through the room. Doubt flickered across her mother's face. For a brief moment, it seemed as if her grip on control was slipping. Listen to her. The rich man urged, desperation coding his words. Let her speak. The crowd shifted uneasily, eyes darting between mother and daughter. Some whispered in hushed tones, as if afraid of awakening a sleeping beast. The mother's grip tightened on the chair. What do you know about our life? This dancing isn't a gift, it's a stain, a mark. Her voice was frayed, the wild timbre echoing her fears. They'll take her from me, do you understand? You think this is beautiful? It's a curse. A wave of confusion washed over the rich man. Take her. From who? The boy in the back of the room muttered something about witchcraft, and suddenly, the walls felt like they were closing in. Secrets prowled in the shadows, and he was determined to unveil them. Something shifted deep inside him, igniting the fire of determination. I want to know, he stated fiercely, addressing them both. I want to understand. Why do you believe this dance is a curse? The girl lifted her head, vulnerability etched across her face. It's not just the dance, she said quietly, each word steeped in gravity. It's what it awakens in me, it is freedom. Her eyes sparkled with embers of longing, the embers of a flickering flame threatening to extinguish. He understood then the swirling magic of her dance was a rebellion against the constraints holding her captive. Free. Her mother scoffed, horrified. You think it's freedom when it draws the eyes of those that would commodify you? The world will simply take what it wants. The rich man couldn't bear to see her spirit crushed once more. What if we could protect you? He suggested, his heart pounding. What if you could dance without fear? The girl's gaze flickered back and forth between them, the hope of a possibility igniting a spark. Can you? She whispered. Can you? The mother echoed, her voice laced with suspicion. Before he could respond, an unexpected commotion erupted from the back of the room. A figure emerged from the shadows, an ominous presence draped in dark fabric, face obscured yet radiating authority. Enough! The figure commanded, voice booming through the room. Fear blanketed the gathering, the looming figure a predatory shadow. The rich man felt the air chill, realizing that this mysterious intruder held the true power of this situation. What secrets do you think you can unveil, rich man? The voice sent a shiver down his spine, both a warning and a challenge. Would the girl's cries for freedom echo in the face of destiny? The rich man's resolve faltered, caught in the web of uncertainty. What darkness awaited him? What choices would he have to make? The dance had only just begun, and sinister ripples stretched out before him, poised to trap him in their grasp. What lay ahead would test his courage and redefine everything he thought he knew. The figure stepped closer, their movements fluid yet menacing. A cloak whispered over the floor, each step a taunt to the rich man's already quaking heart. The crowd parted, an unspoken agreement to avoid the stranger's gaze. Gasps filled the air as heads turned, eyes widening. Who are you? The rich man demanded, clenching his fists. He could feel anger pulsing through him like raw electricity. A small, perverse smile curled at the stranger's lips. Do you really need to ask? With that, they gestured dramatically towards the girl, who stood still yet vibrant at the center of the room, her spirit now on the precipice. This one dances like the spirit of the night itself, free and uncontrollable. But do you think it is the dance that binds her? No. It's the very existence of souls like you that enslaves her. The rich man's chest tightened, the words hitting harder than a fist. He glanced at the girl, caught between the desire to fight for her and the realization of the danger looming nearby. The mother stepped forward, eyes flashing like steel. You frighten her. You do not own her spirit, do you understand? Fear clawed at her voice, yet a flicker of defiance shone through. Foolish woman. The figure's voice was colder than frost. You seek to shield her, but what you fail to see is the darkness drawing closer. The dance awakens old powers, and they will not rest until they consume what they crave. What is it that you want? The rich man shot back, his voice trembling yet fierce. A low, chilling laugh echoed from the figure. What do I want? Nothing you can offer, rich man. I am merely the harbinger. The question is, what do you want? Can you protect her from the world that would rather see her broken? The rich man fell silent, the weight of the question hanging heavy in the air. He suddenly felt very small, wobbling between hope and fear, almost suffocating under its intensity. The girl stepped closer to her mother but held the rich man's gaze, a hesitant connection woven between them. Isn't there more than this? Her voice was almost a whisper, trembling with vulnerability yet brimming with the desire for change. More. The figure scoffed, a wicked glint in their eyes. More danger. More torment. Each twirl as bright as a star, yet each pull of the night drags you deeper into the void. No. The girl's voice burst forth, filled with sudden fire. I can't just stand and listen to this. I want my life back. I want to be free. The crowd responded with a ripple of whispers, their uncertainty palpable. Some gazes shifted away, afraid of the truth hidden beneath the shadows. Then dance, the figure declared, arms outstretched as if beckoning the very night to consume her. Dance as you have never danced before. But know this, the freedom you seek may come with an unimaginable cost. A flicker of dread ignited among the onlookers, tension curling like smoke. The rich man felt the walls close in again. The girl had stepped into the battleground of her own desires, yet what awaited them on the other side was cloaked in darkness. Would she be swallowed whole? Would she rise above? Nothing was certain, and he knew he was running out of time. Will you dance, then? The ominous figure taunted, as the air grew thick with anticipation. Or will you feed the chains that bind you? The girl hesitated, glancing back at her mother, whose eyes now swam with tears. She faltered, the weight of the moment threatening to topple her resolve. The rich man could only watch, his heart racing. Choices loomed before them, and the stakes were impossibly high. What dance would unfold? What price would be paid? As the drumbeat quickened, shadows took shape around them. They were no longer just spectators, they were part of an ancient ritual, one that threatened to change everything. What walls would fall? What lives would be forever transformed? And would anyone emerge unscathed? The girl hesitated, the weight of her dreams caught in a fragile balance. Every breath felt charged, stoking the anxiety of the crowd looking on, hearts in their throats. One flick from her gaze, and all eyes would snap to her ready and fearful. Dance, the cloaked figure urged, almost sweetly, their voice slicing through the tension like a knife. Let the rhythm of your defiance awaken what lies within. Only in dance can you be free. The rich man could hear his heart pounding, a drum echoing louder than any music could. He felt a connection with the girl, a bond woven in desperation. If she danced, if she truly opened herself to that space of freedom, what consequence would follow? Freedom was a heady drug, one that could intoxicate or destroy. With trembling hands, the girl raised her arms, hesitant yet resolute. The rich man's breath quickened. He wanted to shout out, to scream that she shouldn't, but the words caught in his throat, crushed by the weight of the moment. She met his gaze, a silent plea swirling within her eyes. One step, then another, as if the world around her faded. Her feet shifted, finding the rhythm as the music surged, haunting and beautiful. The pulse of the room matched her heartbeat, wild, reckless, yet fragile. But the figure only smiled wider, watching as shadows danced alongside her, dark shapes echoing every twirl. From the corners of the room, eyes that had long been averted began to glance back, drawn by the magnetic pull of her performance. Gasps and whispers fluttered like dry leaves in the wind, an electric hum growing louder among them. Look at her, one onlooker gasped, voice barely above a whisper. She's losing herself. Indeed, it was as if the girl transformed, leaving her earthly worries behind. Her spirit soared, unhindered. But with each graceful arch of her body, the cloak-wrapped figure grew more animated, swirling alongside her in a dark dance. The shadows thickened, reaching out for the girl, longing to ensnare her in their depths. The rich man's heart sank as he processed what was happening. Stop! He shouted, lunging toward her, desperate to interject against the buzzing energy that filled the air. But his voice was swallowed by the tumultuous chaos fracturing the moment. Too late. The figure called out, voice laced with mirth, their cloak billowing like dark smoke as they moved closer to the girl. Every choice she makes will draw her deeper into our world. Each step is a step into the abyss. Panic shot through the rich man. He could see the shadows growing, merging with their surroundings, inching ever closer. The girl was teetering on the edge of liberation and destruction. Time warped, each second stretching thinner and thinner. With one last, defiant twirl, the girl let out a radiant laugh that pierced the darkness, but it echoed hollow. It rang with joy yet tinged with haunting sorrow, one that cut through the hearts of everyone watching. The crowd held their collective breath, the moment suspended in a web of anticipation. Suddenly, a sharp crack sounded from above, reverberating throughout the hall. A single chandelier, magnificent in its luster, crashed to the ground, sending shards of glass flying. The crowd erupted into screams of terror. Run! Someone yelled, but the girl remained frozen, eyes locked onto the figure before her, drawn by an undeniable force. What have you awakened? The figure whispered. Their voice rolled over her like fog, pulling her deeper into the shadows. What will she choose? The rich man thought, a cold dread spreading through him as he stood paralyzed. The dance hadn't merely begun, it had unveiled an unforeseen danger lurking just beneath their reality. As the girl hesitated, one last choice hung in the air. In that split second, everything shifted. Would she turn back from the brink? Or be consumed by the dance that offered both freedom and destruction? And in the distance, the muffled beats of the drums continued, their rhythm matching the pulse of something far darker waiting to emerge. The girl swayed, the shadows drawing ever closer around her. The music pulsated like a heartbeat, and with every movement, the air thickened. The haunting laughter that escaped her lips now felt more sinister, melding with the chaotic screams and shouts emanating from the crowd. Rachel. No. The rich man finally found his voice, slicing through the cacophony with an urgency that tasted of desperation. But she didn't flinch. Rachel, his name for her, a name woven with strands of memory and aching hope, remained entranced. A cold wave swept through him, a realization that paralyzed him deeper than the chaos around them. This wasn't just a performance, it was a summoning. Each spin and dip dragged her further into an abyss where light had long since fled. Stop! Someone shouted, but the words fumbled and flopped, drowning in panic. Shards from the fallen chandelier glimmered on the dance floor, a deadly constellation of crystal. Step back! A woman yelled, clutching her son. The boy's wide eyes mirrored the fear that coursed through the crowd, his small fingers trembling as he hid behind her. What is happening? A man next to the rich man gasped, grasping at his collar. Why isn't she moving? A fog rolled over the crowd like it had gained a will of its own. The rich man's vision narrowed, every detail sharpening, the music warping into a nightmarish symphony of dread. The cloaked figure spun closer, their voice weaving in and out of clarity. Let go of your fear, they whispered, and dance with the shadows. The girl's body answered with a fluidity that defied logic. She matched every dark figure's motion with graceful ease, a dance of chaotic abandon. It was beautiful but horrifying, and nightmare-colored with desperation and allure. Just as the shadows were on the cusp of consuming her, Rachel's breath caught. Her eyes widened as the realization flooded back. She took a single step back, her movement slowing. In that moment, the rich man held his breath. Was it too late? Could she still escape? The cloaked figure snarled softly, mirth transforming into fury. Foolish girl. Do you think you can walk away once embracing this power? The air cracked. The atmosphere erupted in an unsettling hush, every heart in the room gripped by a collective gasp. The shadows snarled, reaching out like clawed hands determined to ensnare Rachel within inescapable darkness. The rich man acted without contemplating the odds. He surged forward, the crowd parting, and grabbed her wrist as her body began to sway back toward the figure. Heat flared in his palm, and for a split second, he felt the overwhelming pull of power coursing through her. Fight it, Rachel. You're stronger than this. His eyes bore into hers, vulnerable and pleading. Don't let it take you. Under the cloak of darkness, her gaze flickered back to him, shock turbulent in her expression. The music shifted, a fleeting moment of clarity piercing through the fog. But just as it seemed she might break free, the figure twisted, their power surging, then a horrifying shriek erupted from the shadows, a cry unlike anything the rich man had ever heard. It sent shards of fear coursing through him, reverberating in every inch of the hall. Rachel screamed, her voice a sharp note that shattered the momentary stillness. Panic erupted anew, the audience surged backward, frantic. The rhythm of the drums morphed into a deafening roar, drowning out reason, spiraling deeper into chaos. Run! The command was a raw plea against the monstrous force awakening in the room. Her body trembled as she struggled, caught between light and darkness, ambition and despair, but the dance was over. An unseen power rose, enveloping them all, brewing a storm on the horizon of reality. The rich man strained against the grip that sought to swallow them whole, heart racing against the rhythm of an impending catastrophe. What had the dance called forth? What would the reckoning bring? As the final refrain filled the air, the shadows loomed larger, a tempest ready to unleash its fury. The rich man gripped Rachel tighter. We need to move. Now. But in that frantic moment, the answer loomed like a specter, shrouded in uncertainty. And just as hope flickered, a whisper wrapped around the crowd, an echo of a terrible truth waiting to surface. What sacrifice would it demand? The shadows surged forward, swallowing the light and weaving sinister shapes in the air. The rich man's grip on Rachel tightened, desperation flooding through him. With each trembling breath, he felt the desperate pull of darkness, its allure both terrifying and intoxicating. Fight it, Rachel. He urged again, his voice barely breaking through the chaos. The music crescendoed, swelling into a wild and dissonant symphony that reverberated inside the walls. Each note felt like a lightning strike against his skin, a warning he couldn't ignore. Rachel's body teetered on the edge, hovering between the fleeting warmth of his touch and the chilling embrace of the shadows that he moved to shield her from the encroaching darkness, pushing through the vibrant crowd that swayed and shuddered in horror. Faces contorted with fear twisted around him, wide eyes reflecting the flickering lights above, glints of despair flashing amidst shards of crystal. Somebody do something. Someone screamed from the back, panic radiating from the words and hitting him like a wave. But who could act? Would anyone have the courage to brave that all-consuming void? Rachel. He yanked her back with one hand, while the other shielded her from the figure that twisted and danced beyond them, a dark entity fueled by insatiable hunger. Their laughter echoed like shattering glass in his mind. The rich man felt the weight of stares from onlookers, their faces painted with horror, seized by a paralyzing fear of the unknown. But he couldn't let go. Not now. He couldn't abandon her to the shadows, even if the world around them crumbled. Please, just listen to me. His voice was raw, trembling as he searched her eyes for recognition, some flicker of the girl he knew beneath the chaos. You have to fight. You are not lost to this. For a heartbeat, something sparked within her, her gaze sharpened, the remnants of her soul shining through. The shadows recoiled, as if his words held a power of their own. But then, doubt flickered in her expression, and all semblance of clarity faded. I can't. Rachel gasped, her breath shaky, like a candle about to extinguish. It's too strong. The cloaked figure let out another feral snarl, its anticipation electrifying the air. You think mere affection can sever the bond? Embrace it, dear one. Let the shadows free you. The rich man's heart thundered. He tightened his grip, feeling Rachel's warmth seep into his skin, the reality of loss creeping closer. The shadows writhed, eager to consume her. In that moment of despair, a glimmer of hope emerged. From the corner of his eye, he spotted the boy that had clutched his mother, still paralyzed with fear. The child's small hands trembled as he peeked at them, eyes full of courage he didn't know he possessed. And then the music shifted again, rising to a furious peak, sharpening everything around them. It was overwhelming, a chaotic rhythm, but in it, a heartbeat emerged that pulsed with potential, a promise of resistance hidden beneath the terror. Rachel. The rich man shouted over the cacophony, amplifying his voice against the screeching shadows. Let him guide you. Focus on the boy. Think of him. Think of what freedom means. Rachel hesitated, uncertainty woven into her every twitch. But the shadows tightened their grip, dragging her toward the darkness and threatening to consume him with her. A glimmer of recognition flickered again. The boy raised his hands, his small frame lifting, as if he could share part of his developing bravery with her. Please, you can come back. He called out, small, innocent, hopeful. And just like that, the tendrils of darkness paused, a moment of hesitation punctured by the purity of the child's voice. But the cloaked figure roared in anger, fury erupting like a violent storm. You dare defy the ancient pact? The atmosphere thickened, the shadows swirling at the edges of reality like a living thing, hungry and restless. Pull her from the brink. The rich man yelled. Now. As if an unseen force shoved against him, the rich man stepped forward, unyielding. He felt the music swell and contort, turning the room upside down. Would the power of a child's hope break the dark enchantment holding Rachel captive? The shadows howled, the music throbbed even louder. Together they writhed, light and darkness entwined in a feverish clash, but the answer lingered just beyond their reach. What binding magic had they awakened? Were they strong enough to withstand the tempest? The rich man could feel the ground trembling as a desperate scream escaped Rachel's lips, and the shadows lunged once more, ready to claim what they believed was theirs. And just then, a blinding light erupted from the heart of the chaos, a beacon of potential illumination. But who would it choose? In that harrowing instant, the answer danced just beyond the edge of darkness, waiting to spill forth. Would Rachel finally break free? Or would the shadows claim another soul? The blinding light surged, cutting through the encroaching shadows with a piercing clarity. For a moment, time stood still. The rich man shielded his eyes, heart racing as the brilliant glow wrapped around Rachel, cloaking her in a protective embrace. Please, he whispered, desperation flooding his voice. Please come back to me. The light coiled around Rachel, illuminating her pale features, casting away the darkness that threatened to pull her under. Her eyes fluttered, searching the chaos, flickering between despair and hope. With a sudden burst, the shadowy figure lunged, its tendrils snapping towards her, hungry and relentless. You think you can save her? She is mine. She was always meant to be mine. The voice slithered through the air, a cold promise wrapped in malice. The rich man's breath hitched as the shadows seemed to deepen, swirling like a tornado. It was a harrowing dance of light against darkness. His mind raced. Do you see it, Rachel? Remember the boy. Focus on him. But as the shadows lunged, enveloping the rich man's protective stance, something unexpected happened. The small boy took a step forward, his tiny frame bold against the looming dark. You can come back, Rachel. I believe in you. His voice rang out, pure and unwavering, slicing through the chaos like a sword. Just then, the glowing light intensified, forming a barrier that fought against the creeping shadows. The rich man's heart surged with renewed hope. Yes. That's it. You can do this. Rachel's expression shifted. The uncertainty ebbed as she grasped the boy's outstretched hands, a pulse of energy radiated between them, strong enough to ripple through the chaos. But the cloaked figure shrieked, enraged at the unexpected resistance. Fools! You cannot resist the pact. Your bond is weak. Give in. It howled, its form dissolving and reforming, sinking into the darkness, yet clawing for power. Rachel! The rich man shouted, his voice strained. Remember who you are. Fight this. In that crucial moment, Rachel closed her eyes. A shudder coursed through her body. Memories flooded back, tiny moments of happiness with the boy, laughter echoing in a sunlit room, fleeting glances shared with the rich man, memories of the life she once knew. Suddenly, the music swelled, harmonizing with the heartbeat pulsing through the light. It flowed into an overwhelming melody, weaving through the chaos, urging the two to fight together. Pull with all your strength. The rich man yelled. Don't let go. The shadows seemed to recoil, hesitating in their pursuit as Rachel grasped the boy's hands tighter, feeling a surge of warmth, the flicker of hope breaking through despair. With a final scream, the cloaked figure lashed out, a dark mass spiraling to reclaim what it deemed rightfully its own. But Rachel stood firm. No longer just a victim, she embraced the light, pushing it back against the onslaught of encroaching shadows. But then came a moment of hesitation, a sharp intake of breath. The rich man felt it too, this sudden chill. The shadows pulled back, but not completely. The bond between them was fragile, teetering on the brink of collapse, nearing an edge where hope and dread danced perilously close together. Will you break it? He whispered, barely able to contain the rising tide of emotion. Or will you let go? The weight of the darkness shifted, and in that split second, Rachel's decision hovered like a pendulum, swinging dangerously between light and shadow. Would she reclaim her soul? Stand with the boy, return to life? Or would the promise of the dark entice her, dragging her further into oblivion? The answer lay suspended in that heartbeat, just waiting to fall. Would Rachel find the strength to break free completely, or would the shadows plunge them all into eternal darkness? The air crackled with tension. Rachel's breath hitched as she felt the swell of light pushing against the shadows, but doubts flickered in her mind. Would she truly be able to let go of the darkness? Would her soul resist, or would it yield to the seductive whispers of the figure that loomed nearby? The boy squeezed her hands tighter, his small fingers filled with warmth and determination. "We can do this, Rachel." His voice was steady, filled with the innocence of a child who believed in magic and love. He pulled her gently, urging her to step closer to the light. "I believe in you." Rachel's heart fluttered. Memories of laughter, of running through fields and autumn leaves, washed over her like a river, flooding her senses. But alongside those memories lurked shadows, cold and shadowy remnants of fear and loneliness. The cloaked figure's voice trailed around her like a mist, sinister yet familiar. "You cannot escape what awaits you, my dear. You were born to join me." "No!" Rachel shouted, shaking her head as if to stir away the murky thoughts. The sound cracked through the air, punctuating her resolve. "I refuse to be part of your darkness." But the shadows twisted around her, menacing and hungry. The immense power of the figure surged as it lashed out again, seeking to tear apart her bond with the boy. "Foolish girl. You think your love can save you? It binds you, but binds me more. You will never belong in the light." The rich man clenched his fists, desperately willing Rachel to push through the fear. "You are stronger than this. Remember your strength." He called, his voice electric with urgency. "You are more than just a victim, you are a mother. A fighter. Don't let him win." The clash of light and shadow played in brilliant colors around them, creating a haunting theater of war. Rachel could feel the pulse of energy between her and the boy, a steady thrum that resonated with every heartbeat. She focused on that warmth, letting it spread through her body, feeding her courage. As the shadows struck again, she closed her eyes. "I will fight for my son," she whispered fiercely. "I will not let you take me." And with that declaration, she stepped forward, fully embracing the light, letting it surge through her like a tidal wave. The shadows recoiled, twisting and writhing as if in pain. The figure howled, its form flickering, trying to claw back its grip. "No. You are mine. You belong to me." But Rachel didn't waver. She knew in that moment that her love was unbreakable. The barriers of darkness shattered under the weight of her resolve. "I choose life. I choose love." In a blinding burst, the connection intensified, and Rachel felt herself being pulled back toward the rich man and the boy, a radiant light engulfing her in a cocoon of warmth. For the first time, the shadows seemed diminished. The boy's laughter rang through her ears, pure and joyful, reminding her of what she was fighting for. Yet, just as she felt hope swell in her chest, the shadows twisted one last time, and the cloaked figure loomed directly in front of her, ferociously defiant. "I will not be denied. Your love will not be enough to shatter the bond forged in darkness." And with a heart-stopping screech, it lunged at the three of them. The moment stood suspended in the air, a dangerous balance between salvation and damnation. What would happen when their worlds collided? Would they break free together, or would the shadows reclaim what they deemed theirs? The answer danced just out of reach, teetering on the brink of catastrophe. And as that last question echoed in the void, the darkness swelled ominously, preparing for its final onslaught. The air crackled with tension, shadows twisting closer, hungry for what they wanted. Rachel, the rich man, and the boy stood clutching each other, a fragile thread of solidarity against the looming threat. The cloaked figure writhed, its voice a chilling whisper crescendoing into rage, "You cannot escape your fate. You are mine." With a jolt, Rachel felt the warmth pulsing through her veins, a fire driven by unyielding love, a force that could shatter the chains of despair. The echoes of the boy's laughter swirled around her, tethering her to hope. In that moment, everything shifted. The room surged with light, the kind that pierced through the darkness like a beacon, illuminating the fear lurking within her heart. "Remember who you are," echoed in her mind, the words of the rich man swirling with fervor. With a burning intensity, Rachel locked her gaze onto the boy, who stared back with unwavering faith. "We can do this," he called, confidence spilling like golden sunlight, cutting through the shadows gripped at eye and that heartbeat. Something inside Rachel ignited. She raised her chin, summoning every ounce of strength. "I choose love. I choose life," she screamed, her voice bridging the chasm of despair. The shadows roared, recoiling as if struck by lightning, their dark tendrils trembling in rejection. The rich man felt the atmosphere shift, an electrical pulse spiraling through them like wildfire. "Yes. Together," he shouted, feeling emboldened by her defiance. "We are the light." In a furious explosion of energy, Rachel flung her arms wide. The golden light surged, shooting through her like a divine spark, and the walls trembled as her resolve shattered the last remnants of the figure's power. Shadows writhed and shrieked, flickering with agony as they recoiled from the brilliance of her spirit. The cloaked figure, defiant until the end, lunged forward, a final forced grasp for control. But Rachel stepped fully into the light, and with her, the boy and the rich man, their hands clutching tightly together. "We are stronger than you," Rachel roared, and together, they channeled their combined love and strength. The energy erupted, surging through the hall as colors began to wash over the room, vibrant and alive. The shadows twisted and faded, wails of anguish bleeding into a furious wind, and with one last desperate howl, the figure began to dissipate, losing itself to the raging light, and then, silence. The energy faded, and in its wake, a serene calm blanketed the room. Rachel stood, panting but victorious, the boy still clutched in her arms, gazing up at her with wonder. She had reclaimed her spirit, reclaimed her freedom. The rich man's heart swelled, pride swelling within him as he saw her eyes aflame with resilience. Rachel looked around, the ballroom returning to a hushed stillness. But now it was a different space, one full of possibility. No one dared to speak. Instead, eyes glistened with admiration, a soft shift of belief rippling through the crowd. They had witnessed something remarkable, a testament of courage over darkness. "What will you do now?" the rich man asked gently, stepping closer. Rachel took a deep breath, smiling through the tears tumbling down her cheeks. "I'll dance. Not in fear, but in joy. For myself, and for others like me." A cheer rippled through the crowd, hearts swelling with hope, their disbelief morphing into fierce applause as Rachel moved onto the floor, the ring of warmth inside sparking anew. The boy released her hand and twirled, and she joined him, laughter spilling into the room like a sweet song. That moment, she was free, a radiant light stepping into the unknown. As the music began to recapture the spirit of the night, the rich man realized he could no longer fade into the shadows of his past. He wanted to redefine himself, to embrace this new path alongside Rachel. "Let us dance together," he called out, stepping onto the floor. She looked back at him, her genuine smile lighting up his world. And together, they spun into a new chapter, marked by resilience, joy, and the undeniable strength of their bonds. The echoes of their laughter filled the air, a promise that darkness would not win, and from that night forth, their lives would intertwine, united in a dance of hope forever. As the final notes danced through the air, the rich man felt an awakening deep within him. If you've loved this story, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second to join our amazing community and keep up with the exclusive content coming your way. Smash that like button to help us keep the algorithm alive. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about what happens next. We want to hear from true fans like you. And share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this triumphant conclusion. Your support means everything. Let us chase after the light together.